The Happy Gravedigger. Written by Ben-Tzion Spitz. Narrated by Jennifer Kahen. Why did the Torah teach purification from the dead, and not mention anything else between the 2nd and 40th years of their wanderings? What did they do for 38 years in the desert? They died. David Nativ, Bible scholar. In the desert, every eve of Tisha B'Av, the 60-year-old men would dig their own graves and lie down in them. They would be dead in the morning. Midrash. Thousands of voices wailed in the night. The spies had given a horrifying report about Canaan. Their fear was contagious. Bodies dropped suddenly to the dry desert floor. Bniim ran through the thick darkness seeking escape. The ground was littered with corpses. Bniim tripped over a bloated body of a large Reuvenite and fell headfirst into an open grave. The grave had his name on it. Bniim awoke from his nightmare to find himself in a deep, freshly dug grave. He scrambled out and met an early sunrise. The warmth of the sun removed the chill of the nightmare. As he stood above ground, he remembered willfully lying there the night before, together with several thousand other men. He was outside the Israelite camp, surrounded by thousands of graves. A handful of men rose from the graves. Not ghosts, but pale nonetheless. Dutifully, Bniim grabbed his nearby spade and shoveled sand onto the bodies of those who would never awake. Other survivors started shoveling as well. "Hey, Bniim," one of the survivors called. "You made it again. How many years has it been? You give us all hope." 13, Bniim answered, looking down at the next grave to cover. "That's incredible. You don't look a year over 80. I'm going back to my wife to enjoy one more year." The family of those who never awoke arrived at the grave sites, cried, picked up unused shovels, and finished the work of their former owners. A fresh widow approached Bniim. "Why do you live?" she moaned. "How old are you? Why are you not dying like all the other 60-year-olds? I know that some don't know when they were born and are off by a year or two, but you are much older." I think I'm 73. I don't know why I haven't died." Bniim did not raise his eyes from the next grave he was covering. The widow turned her back to Bniim and shuffled along back to the camp. After all the graves were covered, Bniim held his spade over his shoulder and walked back towards the tribe of Judah, whistling a happy tune. As the distance between Bniim and the graves grew, he whistled louder. "Sheba, I'm home," Bniim called into his modest tent. "Bniim!" A short, plump, gray-haired woman ran out of their tent and reached to hug Bniim. "Wait, darling." Bniim put his hands up in warning. "I'm still defiled from contact with the dead. We'll have to wait a week before I'm cleansed." Sheba's smile dropped for half a moment, only to return a second later. "I'm just happy you made it. I was scared this would be it. I hate this day." "How shall we celebrate my added year? I know. Let's visit your cousins in Asher. I'm sure Hever has some of that strong Moabite wine left." "Right now?" Sheba asked. "Life is short." "Give me a moment." Sheba ducked into the tent and several minutes later emerged wearing simple golden earrings and fresh makeup on her lips and cheeks. Side by side, Bniim and Sheba walked to the tribe of Asher. "Bniim!" A younger man stopped him. "You're still alive! That's amazing! No wonder you're looking so cheerful." "He always has a cheerful disposition," Sheba said. "I guess God still wants to keep my happy self on this earth," Bniim quipped and continued to the tent of Hever, walking beside Sheba. Bniim called outside the tent. "Hever! It's time to share some of that wine you've been hoarding." Hever exited the tent. "Bniim, why am I not surprised you survived?" Hever approached to embrace Bniim, but at his warning he stepped back. "That's right. You're still defiled. I don't understand how you've escaped the curse of the spies. Everyone dies sooner or later, but you live on." "Clean living and a sunny disposition," Bniim smiled. Now, serve me some of that wine of yours. I'm not getting any younger. Hever fetched a skin of wine and 6 bronze cups. He put 1 cup aside for Bniim. Bring this one back to me after you have purified it. Neighbors came at the sound of the excitement and joined in the drinking. Hever poured generously, and soon the area around Hever's tent was filled with laughter and song. On the 3rd day after Bniim's return from the grave, he approached the outskirts of the camp. Eltsaphan, the Levite with his flowing white beard, greeted him. Bniim, my friend, Eltsaphan smiled at him. You have made it again. I presume you are here to be purified from having dealt with the dead. Yes, sir, Bniim bowed his head. Besides the unpleasant experience of spending a night in my own grave, I assisted in burying those who did not make it. Eltsaphan took a handful of ashes from a bowl. Bniim noticed that Eltsaphan's pinky was unusually short, like his own. These are the ashes of the red heifer. Eltsaphan dropped the ashes in a bucket of water. He stirred the water with a long wooden spoon. Eltsaphan placed a handful of hyssop in the water, raised it, and shook drops of water onto Bniim's head. You must return 4 days hence, Eltsaphan explained. That shall be the 7th day of your having been contaminated. I shall sprinkle the cleansing water on you again, and then you shall have to immerse your body and wash your clothing in the stream. I understand and remember, Bniim said. I have another question, though. What is on your mind? I'm grateful for surviving all these years, and I don't question my good fortune. But it's abnormal, and I wonder why. Why haven't I been spared? It is unusual, and I should have inquired more deeply before. Upon your return, I shall have some answers for you. Thank you, Eltsaphan. Bniim bowed and backed away from the older man, heading home. 4 days later, on the 7th day from leaving the grave, Bniim returned to Eltsaphan. Eltsaphan repeated the sprinkling ceremony, quickly took Bniim aside, and found 2 wooden stools to sit on. Bniim, I've discovered why you haven't died, Eltsaphan said. It's very simple, though some of the news may be distressing to you. What happened? Bniim looked around wildly. What's the reason? What's the news? Calm yourself. Eltsaphan motioned with his hand. It's all good. The unpleasant part is that you are not who you think you are. What does that mean? Bniim stood up. Who am I? Bniim, son of Harel of the tribe of Judah, is not your true lineage. How is that possible? I confirmed your history with my cousin Aaron. Circumstances surrounding your birth were unclear, though recent events have shed light on the truth. What are you talking about? My mother died when I was born, and I was raised by my father, Harel, who died before we left Egypt. It is true that your mother died at childbirth. However, she was married previously to a different man. She was married to a Levite by the name of Katzriel. Katzriel died, and your mother remarried Harel from Judah a couple of months later. Harel was probably uncertain if you were the son of Katzriel or his own. It explains the name he gave you, whether he is my son. Bniim sat down heavily and looked towards the tabernacle at the center of the camp. Are you well? Eltsaphan asked gently. That explains why I haven't died. Yes, Eltsaphan answered. I am a Levite, the son of a Levite. The Levites were not included in the curse of the spies. Bniim clenched his hands. My father raised me, never knowing if I was truly his heir. That is sad. Bniim raised his fist to his mouth, covering the front of his face. It is not sad, Eltsaphan said. Your being a Levite has spared you from the curse. I am certain Harel would have been proud to have raised the man you have become. You are a good and happy man, and you bring cheer to all those around you. Now what? Bniim unclenched his hands. You must immerse in the stream to complete your purification. You must move your tent to the camp of the Levites. You are too old to carry the tabernacle's components, but you can sing with the other Levites. Singing in the tabernacle would be a pleasant change from grave digging outside the camp. There is more, though. What else? I don't know how many surprises I can handle in one day. Your father, Katzriel, had another son from a previous wife. Really? Who is he? I'd love to meet him. He is a Levite who administers the cleansing water to those who have touched death, and he has short pinkies, as does his brother. Eltsaphan looked into Bniim's eyes. It is I, Bniim. I am your brother. Eltsaphan opened his arms wide. Bniim looked at him in disbelief and then hugged him. Bniim stepped back. I'm sorry. Now I've contaminated you, just for one day, and it was well worth it. They embraced again and held on to each other for a long time. To receive life and to find a brother on the same day? Bniim wept joyfully. My happiness is complete. I think your happiness is just starting, his brother whispered. This has been The Happy Gravedigger, written by Ben-Tzion Spitz, narrated by Jennifer Kahen.